Welcome to the 8th episode of The Real Phil Show on Ripped Radio. Of course, I'm yours truly, the bearded host, and alongside me, the conscious root. We have our special guest in the building today, Paul Monteiro. But before we get to that, we've got the intro. So make sure you guys stay tuned. This is The Real Phil Show.
Yo.
Yeah. Welcome to The Real Phil Show now. This is where the real go down. We talking politics, come get in the mix.
Yeah.
We go live every Monday at 6.
Yeah.
You want positivity and jokes? There's a lot of that, folks. Just make sure you're woke. We're trying to loosen the mental bondage. Consider this show unconventional knowledge. Yeah.
Let them know, bro.
Straight from the church.
Hey, go ahead. Y'all did the same thing.
About to put in some work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just keep us on lock.
Yeah.
There's no place I'd rather be at 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Hey.
All right. Let's get into it, man. So this is The Real Phil Show. Like I said, I'm the bearded host.
With the conscious root.
And we've got a very, very, very special guest.
Yes, we do.
In the building tonight.
Yes.
His name is Paul Monteiro.
Good evening, good evening. Glad to be with y'all.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you, man. Glad to have you.
Now, this gentleman here is running for a very important position in our government in Maryland, in Prince George's County.
Mm-hmm.
That is the county executive position. Now, for those of you guys that aren't familiar, this is very important. It's very important if you live in Prince George's County that you vote for this man. All right, I'm just going to start off the show just like that.
I appreciate you. It's a great show. I love this show, by the way.
Already.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so his name is Paul Monteiro, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to talk to him about his vision for Prince George's County. Of course, that's coming later into the show, and of course, we're going to have you guys, well, we're going to have Paul fill us in on who he is in a bit, but before we do that, let's go ahead into the conscious tip for the day.
Tip, man. I know you all listening. I'm looking forward to this each and every single Monday at 6 o'clock p.m. Stay tuned because we're going to bring you this conscious tip. This is something that you're going to hear each and every time. This week, I want to give you all a specific message that was put upon me actually earlier today. I had something else planned, but given the recent news that came out, which we'll get into shortly, I decided to bring this message to you all. Regardless of who you are, regardless of what you are doing, be courageous. Go against the odds. Go against the grain. Be courageous. Create positive change, not for personal gain, but to create real change that benefits the people. And so as we go into the news, I'll begin to tie the two together, what I meant with this message. And regardless of who you are, regardless of what you're doing, be courageous, because a lot of times we all have these individual projects that we're working on, that we want to, or these dreams or these visions of becoming successful, whatever our definition of success may be. What I am going to tell each of you all listening is be courageous, because that is the initial step to chasing down that dream. A lot of times we fear what's on the other side, but what's on the other side is more than likely success if you just get past the fear. And that's something that I experienced in my role as a poet, as a motivational speaker. Here on this show, I had to get out of my comfort zone and be courageous. And so that's my message for you all today, the conscious tip. Be courageous. Go against the odds. Go against what other people are saying that try to distract you from your ultimate goal of being successful, and go chase down that dream.
Now, that was a conscious tip by the conscious root.
That's right, man. Each and every Monday, man, you got something different from you. Got something new. Just really trying to elevate the people mentally, you know?
Now, this is the Real Phil Show. Of course, you know that.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple announcements. So, number one, I should probably do this one first, but I'll save that one for last. So, number one, we've got Chasing Gains, Gains TV. If you see this show, I always have this hat on, supporting my brother, Chris. So he's all about chasing gains, not just in the weight room. So if you see me a little ripped, you know,
We waiting on that.
You
but
can
go ahead. We waiting on that.
admire from afar, don't touch. All right? But if you're chasing gains, not just in the weight room, but in your career, in your life, and whatever you're passionate about, this is a movement to get on.
Yeah.
All right? Other announcement. We have some votes that we need y'all to do.
Oh yeah. Participation is key, y'all.
So the Real Phil Show was nominated for 2 things in 2 categories: Best New Show and Most Inspirational Show of 2017. So if you would like to vote, you can go on rippedradionetwork.com and go to the first tab, the Rippies, and click on that. Once you do that, scroll down and you'll see the first 2 categories, and vote for the Real Phil Show. Also, if you didn't get that, if you're a little confused, if you're one of our slower followers, then you can go on my Instagram at The Real Phil Show, and I have it all there as well.
Or if you have any questions about it and you want to give us a call, please do. 301-288-3100. We definitely like to explain to you how to navigate the website so that you can vote for us. Or if you have any questions about the show, we definitely like to hear from you.
Absolutely. Now, the last, I don't know if this is an announcement. It's kind of bad news, sad news.
Yeah.
So we had a recent Washington Adventist University alumnus that passed away. Her name is Jessica, and she graduated from Washington Adventist University and actually worked there for a number of years. And I just found out today that she passed. So my condolences.
Yes.
On behalf of myself, The Real Phil Show, we want to give our condolences to her family and all of her friends, because to me it seems like it was one of those sudden deaths. Mm-hmm. So we're praying for her family and her friends.
Yeah.
In other news, we've got Paul Monteiro in the building.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure y'all don't forget that. This guy is very important. Now, he actually kind of looks like me without the beard. So that just means that he's a good-looking brother. That's all. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I tried growing a beard, but it wouldn't connect. It doesn't connect like right here. So it's just like a kind of a patchy type of thing.
It probably wouldn't be good for the campaign either, would it?
I don't know, man. I feel like it's a stereotype. What do you think?
I feel like it's changing now. I mean, you look at the elections last Tuesday around the country, like the folks that won don't look like your traditional politician. I mean, there is
especially
there's
what's
a
her
move
name
happening.
from,
there's a move happening in the
where
country.
was it New Jersey or
Where the
first Sikh mayor with the turban and the beard? Yeah,
you had that.
First,
but you also had
Sikh mayor.
the first transgender
in Virginia.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was really big. That was groundbreaking in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think we're sitting on this moment of folks are just looking for authenticity. They don't care what your facial hair situation is like. They want to know, are you about my business? Are you about my interests?
Well, look, vote for me, Philip Malcolm, in 2020 for President of the United States. I'm announcing now.
Just dropping it like that?
I'm announcing right now.
You got to say you approve this message. You
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, I guess since I was saying it, I approved it, you know. I got some stuff.
The lawyers.
I got some stuff to learn, I guess.
Sure, yeah. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Rookie mistakes. It's okay.
Rookie mistakes, you know? All right. Anyway, let's get on to the news.
Okay, the news. First thing on the news, which I was extremely excited about today. I heard this. Sean King said the good people of GQ named Colin Kaepernick Citizen of the Year. Yo, that was really, really big. If you're watching online, you didn't see the cover of the magazine at www.ripradionetworks.com. You can actually see Colin Kaepernick on the photo, the front cover of GQ magazine.
Check out the shirt.
Yeah. I'm representing. I'm with Cap. You know, I have a project that'll be dropping soon.
Yes.
That'll be dropping soon. So probably next Monday you all get to see that here on the show. But
absolutely.
But you'll definitely be seeing it this week. New project dropping soon that definitely brings to light why we protest. You know.
Yep. So I like to hear, man.
Yeah, man. But so we had the picture there. But one thing that really stood out, they had this man in all black, like the afro, everything, y'all. Like you gonna take this culture, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And not only that, but they named him Citizen of the Year. How big is that?
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Not just like Player of the Year, you know, not the MVP of the NFL, but Citizen of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that fully embodies everything that he has done, everything that he stands for. You know, taking that courage that we spoke about earlier and putting it into action. That had to imagine what was going through his mind the first time that he kneeled, you know, made that decision, knowing that there will be some type of backlash.
Now, we want to hear what you guys think about this. Colin Kaepernick winning Citizen of the Year. We don't really care how y'all feel about his protest, because it's happened, and y'all know how I feel about it. Y'all know how I feel about it. So, but we want to hear about. We want to hear what you guys think about him winning Citizen of the Year. Does he deserve it? Really doesn't matter to me either, because he already got it. So, but we want to hear from you guys.
Yeah, man. One thing that I noticed also, you all should read the article that GQ published. The title of it is "Colin Kaepernick Will Not Be Silenced." Yeah, and imagine everything that the NFL has done. We don't know whether or not they have, they have the allegations out there that they are purposely kept him from playing in the NFL. But I leave that up to you all to decide. You know, our opinions are our opinions, but they have specifically stated that he will not be silenced. How big is that? Where you have someone to come out and says like, "Yo, we have your back," in this instance, and that gives more support to Colin Kaepernick, which I think is very important in this time, to know that the people are behind him and that we support what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, the protest is bigger than Colin Kaepernick. It's bigger than football. This is about Black lives and the injustice that we continuously see within our communities, you know, which goes to why we should vote, why voting is so important.
All right, so let's go into that. That's a very good segue, because before the show, Paul and I were kind of discussing that, sort of recapping from what we talked about last week with Carl. And basically Carl made the statement that voting doesn't matter, because basically we don't control anything. It's already made. It's already set up. So, Paul, what's your view on that, on voting? I mean, of course, you're running for county executive in Prince George's County, but what's your view on voting?
Yeah, I think, I mean, and I hear it a lot, but I think that idea that I'm not voting because it doesn't matter what I do is one of the most dangerous ideas out there right now. And why I say dangerous, because like we were talking about before the show started, back in 2007, you know, when Barack Obama was running, I worked on his first campaign out of Chicago, and you would, you know, go talk to people in the, you know, South Carolina, the early states, go out to, you know, Iowa, go out to Nevada, and especially with the African American community, because back in those days, remember, he wasn't black enough.
Right.
Remember, like back in those days, they tried to play him like that.
Yeah.
But you would like just talk to people, do focus groups. Why won't you support this? There's an African American man running, and the number one reason was some version of, it doesn't matter what I do, they've already decided who's going to win. And the idea, especially in states with huge, like South Carolina, huge African American population, the idea that it's almost like learned helplessness. I could actually improve the situation, but I have the sense of it doesn't matter, so I won't do anything. I'll actually check out and actively push other people to check out because of this conspiracy mindset. I say it's dangerous because you think of a place like Ferguson. You know, we all remember what happened and what went down there with Mike Brown.
Yep.
Ferguson is a minority city. But because, again, many folks did not exercise that right, you had a city council that was all white. You had a mayor that was white. You had a police chief that was white. You had a prosecutor that decided not to prosecute that was white. These are all elected positions. So even in places where we have strength by numbers, the idea that I won't do anything, it's fixed, I'm going to check out. Sure, I have a self-interest in it. I'm running for office. I need people to not feel like, you know, it's a helpless situation. It doesn't matter what you do. And I have an easier time, quote unquote, because we're in the richest African-American majority county in the country. So folks know Prince George's County has a demographic flavor to it. But no, I certainly disagree with people that say, I'm checked out.
Absolutely, and we on the Real Field Show disagree as well.
Yeah, definitely.
There's no reason why you should not go out and vote.
It's your time to vote, to voice your opinion. You know, it's when your voice actually matters. You can actually have a say so in the election.
Now, here's my question. I'm touching more on the personal side of not yours, so don't get nervous.
Hopefully not mine. What you talking about?
I ain't talking about you.
What you do this weekend,
I
man?
ain't worried about you.
Where were you at?
What's in that can? Because he always has something to drink, and I always bring this up on the show, just like he forgets things sometimes. And I don't know. Maybe we need to just go to a strictly
But
water.
everybody saw me. Everybody saw me open the can
I didn't see you
of
open the
coconut.
can.
Okay.
The Real Field Show is sponsored to you by Foco coconut water. Get a sip out of life.
Did you just make that up
Yep.
on the spot?
Hire me. Anyway, speaking about voting and how you guys did the focus groups, and you realized that many black people are in this hopeless mind state. How did President Obama feel about that at the time? Because I'm sure that he was probably frustrated as a black man himself, running for a position that would make a difference in the world. How did he feel about that mind state of black America?
Well, clearly it was a problem, but as a community organizer himself, he wasn't fazed by it. I mean, he saw it in Chicago. I mean, the same idea on the South Side, folks dealing with poverty, unemployment, living in poor conditions in a housing project. It's a very common sort of response. Like, I'm not trying to talk about an election because I'm trying to make sure I get a job today or stay in my apartment today or feed my kids today. It doesn't matter what this campaign stuff. I'm not gonna bother with that. So, not phased, just sort of taking the world as it is and working around it. And the idea that, well, you feel like it doesn't matter what you do. Work from a place of self-interest first. Like, what do you care about? Is it your children? Is it your job? Is it your lack of a job? Is it not having health insurance? What? And sort of work to show the connection between this election and your interest, whatever your number one and number two issue is. Once people find that there's something in it for them, it will cost them or it will benefit them, it's a different conversation.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just this irrelevant, like, I don't even know what this person does, so I'm not going to vote for whoever is running for it because I don't even know how it's relevant to my life, which is another one of those dangerous ideas, because it's like, okay, you think it has nothing to do with you, huh? Every year it's going to be in your pocket a little bit more. Every year it's going to be a little bit more in terms of what you can or can't do.
Right.
So showing people the very real self-interest that they maybe don't realize they have, but it exists.
It certainly
exists. It exists. Absolutely exists.
Oh yeah. Now we're gonna leave this topic real quick and then go right back into the news. And when we come back from the break later on at around 6:30, then we'll sort of come back to this issue and then talk about more things that are pertinent to your campaign, of course.
Cool.
So let's go back into the news.
The news, okay. So the next thing on the news is what was going on with Meek Mill. I know a lot of us were really hearing things that were taking place over the weekend surrounding this story, but I wanted to dive into it a little bit myself and kind of talk about it on the show. And so if you're watching online, once again at www.ripradionetworks.com, you can see that they've set up a petition for Meek Mill where you can sign it, and it goes towards helping him in his case.
Right.
And so I advise you to just go research that, go look into that. But as we get into the bulk of the timeline that really goes throughout this entire process and why he's incarcerated today, or why he got 2 to 4 years of a sentence. So one thing that I was really confused about is the judge and her relationship with Meek Mill. It seems as though she wants to be a parent, number one. Number two, she wants to be a therapist. Number three, she's now the executioner. Well, she's sending him off to serve 2 to 4 years in prison. And my question is that really the answer? Is that really the answer? Like, especially what black people go through so much and the high incarceration rates that we make up of in the prison system today. And so let's just go through a timeline. Meek Mill was arrested in 2008 on drug and weapons charges. He serves time, gets out on probation. Now he's sentenced by Judge Janice Brinkley. And after that, he gets arrested for popping willies and getting into a fight, which violates his probation, right? Now, both charges were dismissed. Now, even the officers on the scene at the airport said that when the altercation took place, Meek Mill was trying to break up the fight. And now, and so he's been on probation for a little over 10 years, going back to 2008. And the judge continuously has extended his sentence, and results now in a 2 to 4 year sentence as a result of those prior 2 charges of popping the willie and the altercation at the airport.
So it seems like they're out to get him.
It seems like they're out to get him. But not only that, this is a black judge. So people, we can't use the race card at this point. And so that shouldn't be our initial motive, to just pull the race card. But at this point, we have to ask questions. 10 years on probation. Literally. I mean, I feel like that's a form of being incarcerated in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know, and where a black woman, this judge could have done something differently than sentence him to 2 to 4 years. That's what she chose to do at the end of the day, further perpetuating the system of incarceration of black men.
But I think I want to get something straight though, because we keep saying, and I keep seeing this on social media, oh, this black judge this, black judge that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we should bring that out. I don't think that's very relevant to the case. Yeah, she's a black judge, so what? She's a judge. Period. Now, yeah, I know you have the whole personal side to it, but this is her job. Now, I'm not saying that the sentencing was right. It's not correct, in my opinion. And it does seem like the system is out to get him. But the fact that she's a black judge has nothing to do with it, in my opinion. Now, the black community, I'm sure, they're like, well, he's a brother. Why aren't you helping him out?
Yeah.
Look out for him. That's what the white people do.
Yeah.
True, but I don't know the whole specifics of the case. But just the fact that she's black, I don't think that that's necessarily relevant. You know, black people they're always looking for a hookup, you know, and they'll argue just like I just said. Oh, the white people do it, so why don't we do that for ourselves? I agree in most cases, but you know, when you're talking about the law here, you're walking on a thin thread, I think. So we just got to be careful. Main point is what I'm saying is we've got to be careful in the way that we walk that line. So
yeah. Did you have something?
Well, I mean, I work at Howard University, for example, and you know, it's a capstone of black higher education in America, and we have college Republicans on campus.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, and that's not a newsflash to anybody here, but you know, black people have very different views. You've always had the fault lines and fissures in the community where, yeah, we're all black, but you know, are you my kind of black? Your kind of black? I mean, the paper bag test, the political view. So yeah, I mean, I mean, our lieutenant governor, Boyd Rutherford, Howard graduate, Republican. So it's less surprising to me. I mean, you could sort of see someone of a particular mindset feeling like the best way to help you is to send you to this place where others would say that's the worst thing you could do. So,
yeah,
I love the way President Obama said it when he went to Howard to give the commencement speech, and he said, you know, be confident in your blackness. Because there's a lot of different ways to be black. I mean, the way Colin Kaepernick's being black, the different ways that people walk out their blackness. I mean, it's black because you do it, you know. But sometimes folks force us into, well, black people do X.
Right.
You know, it's just, you know, not necessarily.
Right.
When I went down to work the Alton Sterling aftermath in Baton Rouge, you know, black man killed on cell phone, uploaded to Facebook within minutes. And what you find is a city that was very much divided. There's a street that goes through Baton Rouge, Florida Boulevard. He lived north of Florida Boulevard. Low income, bad housing, underperforming schools, no trauma center hospital. So even if he made it to the hospital, he probably wouldn't have made it.
Right.
And then south of Florida Boulevard is mirror image. nice retail, best hospital, great schools, XYZ. And the southern part of the city tried to leave like a month earlier. They had a referendum to say, let's make a new town called St. George. And to be clear, there are black people that live south of Florida Boulevard, but black people that are of means, who don't want their kids anywhere near north of Florida Boulevard, you know, with those people, you know what I'm saying? So the way we have you've always had the economic divide in the black community for sure, you know, the idea that, you know, town to 10th mindset, whatever you want to call it. But there are these kind of black people and then those kind of black people, and we love slicing and dicing each other. But there's a whole range of, you know, how to be black. So yeah, I mean, the idea that the judge in this case is black, you know, I think the bigger problem to me is that, yeah, sometimes, you know, with the criminal justice system, the whole idea of rehabilitation has been taken out of it. So sending you someplace to be held someplace where maybe a long time ago there used to be this idea of it's a penitentiary, you know, penitence.
Right.
You know, the idea of you're working towards making, you know, amends for what you did, where now it's warehousing. You know, so yeah, I struggle to see how it's rehabilitating you to just warehouse you in a place where you could actually, I mean, the following this guy has, if you're looking to like send a signal, actually rehabilitate him to make better decisions in a way that helps him, but also a wider swath of people, putting him in a cage someplace, I can think of 10 other ways to rehabilitate. Warehousing is a problem because you've taken out that rehabilitative kind of mandate out of the criminal justice system, you know?
And that goes back to my issue with this, knowing that there are so many different ways that she could have handled the situation. She chose the easiest one, in my opinion, and said, you know what, I'm going to put you on the top shelf in the warehouse, collect some dust, come out in 2 to 4 years, and we'll talk then. You know, when she could have done so many other things to not only benefit him, but benefit the culture and eventually benefit herself. Because as a people, as black people, we have to begin to educate ourselves. We have to begin to work together as a family, regardless of what this law is, right? Let's be real. It wasn't initially written to benefit us.
No, right.
And so what can we do to change the system, the stereotype, instead of just adding to it? That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents. I think that's what she did.
Agreed.
You know?
Agreed. I can't argue with you on that.
No, that's a big part of why I'm running is because we're sitting on a crisis of black and brown men in this country. I tell people, you know, again, I'm at Howard University. We just admitted the biggest freshman class ever. Howard's been around for 150 years. It's 73% women.
Whoa.
Which is great for the women. I'm not knocking that at all. I'm just saying.
But they've always outnumbered men anyway in higher education.
Well, now women broadly outnumber men at the associate level, the bachelor level, the master's level, PhD level. But you're losing black and brown men 7th, 8th, 9th grade. They're not making it to high school. And the way that there's all these avenues and on-ramps into the criminal justice system where there should be, where's the on-ramp to a job? Where's the on-ramp to a career? Where's the on-ramp into, even if you're coming out of a unstable home situation, your dad may have not been around, may have been locked up himself. Where's that on-ramp for you? You know, and those are the interventions. You have to be intentional about building them because these people don't disappear. You know, they drop out of school, they're getting picked up on the criminal justice side. And I mean, at the top level, you have a federal government with Attorney General Jeff Sessions. You know, they're bringing back the war on drugs. A set of policies where we know how the story ends. I mean, we saw those sets of policies result in the warehousing of certain people and definitely low-income people. And so rather than learn from that, here comes the hammer again. And so that's part of why I'm running is like, in this county, if you can't figure out how to create opportunity for folks in the richest black county in America, where can you do it, you know?
Exactly.
But I don't see us doing that.
Right. So, well, now it's 6:30 now. Let's go on a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into Paul Monteiro, candidate for Prince George's County Executive. We're going to talk about his campaign. So, you're listening to The Real Phil Show. We'll be right back. Hello, hello, hello. This is the bearded host of The Real Phil Show.
With the conscious root.
And of course, we've got our special guest, Mr. Paul Monteiro. Now, Paul, we just got done talking about Meek Mill and that whole judge situation and how black folk think that we should get the hookup, or he should have gotten the hookup.
The hookup. Nobody said nothing about the hookup, but go ahead.
Everybody's talking about him getting the hookup. Why is it that when this whole news came out, everybody's like, oh, black judge, send him to jail, black judge. Why couldn't it have just been a judge?
Oh, bro, like there's a book that I read. It's called Black Robes, White Justice. I forget.
Oh, so you read now?
First of all, that's disingenuous of you to say. You supposed to forget who I am, bro.
Fired,
that's
man.
right. I am the conscious root, bro.
That's why we can't rise as a people, man.
Right?
Crabs in the barrel.
Crabs in the barrel.
Oh, so you read now, huh?
Let go of my leg, bro. Let me get out the barrel, son.
I'm just trying to get there with you, brother.
Right? All right, but don't fool me down,
So-
though.
So what does the book say, though?
It talks about it's written from the perspective of a black judge, and he talks about his time spent as a judge where he had to incarcerate his own people during the crack era. And so he knew that the system was unjust, but he had to still follow those rules that were in place. And his initial intention of becoming a judge was to like help his people, help black people, you know. And initially he ended up participating in hurting them.
Now, I will say that my qualm, well, I have many qualms with this whole case, but one of my biggest issues with this case is that the prosecution's recommendation was that he not get sentenced to jail.
Hello.
That was one of my biggest things.
What are you talking about, bro? Like that should show you that it's messed up.
No. I totally agree that the whole situation was just jacked up. Period. He should never have been on probation for so long, especially after serving so much time. Then he was on probation for 10 years, and he can't get off. I mean, he hasn't really done anything to
and the charges were
him.
those two charges were dismissed.
Exactly, they were dismissed, and the prosecution said that they're recommending that he
bailiff
not.
said, bro.
Right, they're saying that they recommend he not serve any time.
And that's why I said, like, the judge developed a personal relationship with him over time, where she became it seems though she wanted to become a mother figure, a therapist, and then
That's what it might have seemed like,
and then
right?
the executioner at the end were like, okay, you're not gonna listen. Well, this is gonna help you, and I'm gonna make an example out of you, and send you to prison for 2 to 4 years.
I know he's appealing this, right?
It's jacked up.
I think they made an attempt to appeal.
You got to.
His counsel has made an attempt to appeal, but there hasn't been any news on whether or not that's going to go forward or not.
Wow.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's get into the meat of the show, the real deal.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Paul Monteiro, candidate for Prince George's County Executive, in the studio with us right now. It's such an honor
No,
to
I'm glad
have
to
you
be
here,
I
man.
appreciate y'all having me on the show. It was
Absolutely.
great when we met, over the summertime. I was looking forward to getting out here, so
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
it worked out.
Yeah, a lot has happened between then and now. So
Absolutely, yeah,
we changed to
yeah.
a new radio
Like a year
station, all
ago.
of that. So
Okay.
yeah, man. So everything's on the up and up
All right.
for both of us.
Yeah, yes.
Well, for all three of us, I should
There
say.
we go. There we go.
Well, I counted you as the real Phil
Yeah.
show, so
Unit.
yeah, man.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
We're one, man. Not like that, but you
Why
get
you even
me.
gotta do that? Let's go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's move.
You know, right?
Let's take that detour.
Yeah. Anyway, folks,
What kind of show is this?
I didn't agree to this, man.
We got a commercial coming up.
Right.
Commercial break.
Doug, we gotta go. Anyway, real quick commercial. If you guys didn't catch the beginning of the show, if you haven't seen any of my social media posts, the Real Phil Show got nominated for 2 categories: Best New Show and Most Inspirational Show of 2017. So make sure that you vote for us. If you'd like to do so, make sure you go to rippedradionetwork.com, click on the first tab, the Rippies. Scroll down and click The Real Phil Show on the first 2 categories that you see. We're not on any other categories. So the first two that you see, click the Real Phil Show and hit vote.
Also, y'all, please, I just gotta drop something. If for those of you that are watching now and that are listening, don't be selfish. Don't be stingy. Tell your friends about this. Share this. The information that we just gave you about voting, tell that to a friend if you already voted. Because once again, we're trying to uplift the culture. We're here because we want to make a difference within our communities. So please share this footage if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching any of your friends' stuff, just repost it, share it as much as possible.
Yeah, don't be crabs in the crab barrel. Vote for us.
Like Phil.
All right. All right. See, you ain't got to do all of that. It's all good though. Anyway, let's get into the real deal. So, Mr. Paul Monteiro, you are running for Prince George's County Executive.
Yes, sir.
What made you want to run?
I wanted to take care of home. I'm from Prince George's County, and since kindergarten at Adelphi Elementary School, middle school at Buck Lodge Middle School, high school at High Point High School, the greatest high school in the county. Class of 98. I'll let that go.
Shout out.
Yeah,
No. You do that because
Okay.
I didn't go to school in Prince George's
Where'd you
County.
go to
So
school?
I went to for elementary and middle school, I went to G. Peters.
Oh, okay.
So
But-
Adventist,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So in
Okay.
that whole,
been
and
that
then
long?
took them apart. I guess, bro.
Oh, getting old, man. You
Yeah,
getting old.
yeah.
And I'm originally from Memphis, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so-
you're from okay.
Yeah.
I
So
wanna
we'll let
talk
you-
about Memphis.
We'll let you have that the best high
Okay.
school in
Yeah,
Quincy.
yeah.
That's
Sure
you right
One of
there.
your callers will probably have something.
Yeah, I
no,
would-
I've seen this place from the perspective of a student, from the perspective of being the first in my family to graduate high school. You know, both my parents dropped out. My mom got pregnant, so she dropped out. My dad lost interest, so he dropped out. You know, and there were 4 of us growing up, 5 when my youngest brother showed up in '99. But you know, growing up on food stamps, free lunch, you know, using the Head Start, you know, the food bank, and just seeing this is a place that gave us a lot. And there's a lot. We had a lot of families just like us growing up, and there's still a lot of families like that today. And just, I guess, seeing this place for what it is and loving this place. I mean, it's a wonderful place for all the drawbacks and shortcomings we have. I love Prince George's County, and spending the last 11 years seeing the rest of the country. It's like that. And I'm not a poet. You're the poet, but and I don't know poetry real well. But there's this one line I remember. It's T.S. Eliot. And it's this line that it says, "We shall never cease from exploring, and at the end of our exploration, we will return to the place we first started and know it for the first time." It's the idea that, like, you don't really know a place till you
I think
leave.
you said it better.
Yeah, T.S. Eliot. I'm stealing from this T.S. Eliot guy, but yeah, I guess going to the federal level and moving to Chicago, you know, then working at the White House and working for President Obama, traveling all the states, you know, just seeing what other people are doing, how they're living. Spending time in Memphis, you know, in the South, Southwest, Northwest, and then coming back to Prince George's County. Even though I lived here the whole time, I was just always on the road traveling, and just asking the question, you know, again, in the richest black county in America, I've seen places around the country that are doing things that are not the richest black county in America. They're doing things that are very creative, innovative. Why don't we do these things? And feeling that, given the times we're living in with the stuff going on, there's a lot of good things happening here for sure, but there's a lot of quiet crises also going on.
Absolutely.
The neighborhoods I grew up in, those inside the Beltway neighborhoods, you know, Hyattsville, you know, Fairmount Heights, District Heights, Capitol Heights, Landover Hills. There's just a lot of folks. You're talking about subsistence level. They're just trying to make it through the week. And I don't hear anyone talking about them. And being one of them and having some blessings in life to sort of see and do more than most of my family have ever been able to do, because God blessed me to have these opportunities, I have something to offer.
Right.
I have something to offer.
And you mentioned sort of this neighborhood craziness going on. Now, I know that one of your campaign platforms is helping to sort of reform the education system in the county, in Prince George's County. Because for those of you who are not aware of what's going on now, we have, to call it very generally, I guess, craziness going on in the education system here in Prince George's County. A lot of, how should I call it, misrepresentation of grades.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of corruption with the higher ups, and I'm sure board members are probably included in that. Who knows? But for sure, there's a lot of craziness going on. So you knowing that and seeing that and trying to deal with that, how are you going to hopefully fix it? Because we need to fix it.
Yeah, and like just level setting, right? This has been going on for a while. I remember being in 5th grade at Adelphi Elementary School, 1990, 89 or 90, in a trailer. We called it a temporary, and there were 3 of them. Now there's 10 of them outside my elementary school. But,
Wow.
So you're going to school in a trailer. School is 4 days a week because you get furlough days because they can't afford to pay the teachers for the 5 days.
Right.
Wow.
Getting the letter home to give to your parents, and you read the letters asking for paper donations. Like, what? The school's out of paper? You know, like basic things like not going well. So that was 1990. Here we are, 2017. Some of that stuff's still going on. I can't throw a stick without hitting a teacher that's saying they're going in their own wallet or their purse to buy school supplies for their students. At the same time, the starting salary for a teacher in Prince George's County is significantly lower than the surrounding counties. So you want to be a teacher, off the break, you could make $8,000-$10,000 more just going to another county. So the folks coming here, they're taking a hit coming in the door. And then they give out of the goodness of their heart. You know, they see the kids need things. And then, I mean, just the infrastructure issues. So, I mean, like I said, High Point was built in 1954. We found several schools, not one working water fountain. In 2017, in the richest black county in America.
What?
And so, yeah, so you just kind of make that face of like, wait a minute, where 2/3 of every tax dollar right now is already going to schools. That's how they sold the MGM casino. We need to bring the casino in and raise money for the school. So the schools are always invoked, and yet you don't see. And then you get this audit came out 2 Fridays ago now, found, you know, but it kind of confirmed what people already knew. That's why I'm out here just saying what I know to be true, because I feel like people know I'm not lying. You know, we have an audit that came out saying, and at least 5% of the cases they sampled, they changed the grades in order to get a kid that was ineligible to graduate. And in a significant number of the cases they found, it's like we couldn't even find documentation for many of the kids who graduated. You know, so teacher failed you, you're at commencement at Comcast Center, and I'm like, why do I see Paul in line right now? I failed him. But someone changed the grade behind my back as a teacher, so he's walking now or she's walking now. And, you know, the problem there's so many problems with that. And I think the most dramatic one is, and I didn't need an audit to tell me this, you're graduating kids who in some cases can't read. You're graduating kids in some cases who can't do high school level math. Where are they working?
Right.
That's to me the fundamental problem, because, okay, you're not the problem of the school system anymore, but they don't like ghost. They live here. They're part of the county too. And so you have this population of people, like, how are they living?
Right.
You can't, you know, you work at Chipotle, okay, but you can't live off Chipotle salary.
Some form
you know,
of follow-up.
Yeah, and so the problem with that is, like, okay, then it becomes for people that want to write off that universe of people, like, not my problem anymore. You graduated, quote unquote. Okay, but now you don't want them in your neighborhood. Now you don't want them at National Harbor when you're shopping. You know, so you got to hire some more police, and that costs money.
It's like, so rich people got problems too. Since we're the richest black.
I mean, but you show, you know, and again, to your point,
we've got problems too.
Black on what? I mean, rich black, poor black. I mean, they're all black people, but again, the way that we separate ourselves based on, well, it's my kind of people, and then it's them, and I don't want to be around them, and I don't want them around me or my kids, you know. And I feel like in our county, you could actually do something about giving the folks that are maybe born into poverty, living in poverty, graduating high school into poverty. You know, you could actually do something to give them pathways. So what we're talking about with schools is 2 things. One, you got to get serious about the infrastructure issues, because if it's lead in the school or mold in the school, like, you got to address that, because the physical, it's a basic, you can't poison people, and you know what, working water fountain. So that's one. And 2 is dual enrollment. It's what St. Louis did after Mike Brown. They just recognized, listen, there's a lot of other people in Mike Brown's situation. Mike Brown graduated. Was he going to Howard? Was he going to Harvard? Was he going, you know, what was his life choice in front of him, right? So working backwards, saying, hey, the school system's is struggling, and the students in it, you know, from 9th grade, you're not going to college. You don't want to go to college. That's fine. We've gotten to a place, that's another problem, where we've stigmatized everything except college. So if you're going to college, you're great. if you're not going to college, you must be less than or not as
Right,
smart. It was like, that's ridiculous.
This false narrative and stereotype.
So what they did was basically find the private sector employers in St. Louis that can't fill jobs.
Right.
The prime example was Boeing. You know, they make jets. You know, so they can't fill their jobs, and these are good jobs, like $80K a year jobs, right? But they can't fill it, and you need to be trained on A, B, and C to get that $80K job. Okay, let's work backwards. Hey, high school kid, 9th grade, 10th grade, morning time you're in your high school, but in the afternoon you're taking classes at the Community College of St. Louis, University of Missouri St. Louis, or Washington University, the private college in St. Louis, on A, B, and C classes. So by the time you graduate high school, you're actually landing at Boeing at an $80K job a year. You know, you can live off that. You know, so that's the urgency I feel about our school system is you got to address the physical infrastructure, but also like it's not like we're a rural county in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
You got plenty of employers around here. You got plenty of federal agencies here.
Now, where in the world do we pinpoint who to really talk to about this stuff? I mean, or where do we really sort of point the finger? Say, oh, it's your fault, Mr. So-and-so, or it's your fault. You caused this.
Is it one particular person's fault?
No, I think that'd be too convenient to scapegoat, right? Again, this has been going on for decades. You know, at least when I was an elementary school student. So, and yeah, looking back and pointing to, you can point to one of our superintendents who went to jail. You could do that. But I'm not going to just blame it on that one guy who got caught doing dirt, was running our school system and went to jail. I'm not going to blame it on our county executive that did some dirt, went to, you know, it's too convenient to say some one person, or, you know, you got to have accountability. I'm just looking, okay, going forward, what are the obstacles or, you know, things in the way to say, how do we get to serious dual enrollment? Because the county currently does dual enrollment, but again, you have like a health science academy. It's 400 seats. So if you're one of the 400 lucky winners, you're good. You're getting, you know, high school in the health science space. That's a very marketable, you know, field. But we have about 130,000 students in the school system. So if you didn't win the lottery, you know, and so I'm saying you got to expand these dual enrollment programs in a robust way and pinpoint. I mean, it's very clear to me like where the neighborhoods are, right? I think everybody knows where the neighborhoods are, right? And where the school is. You spend 5-10 minutes in the school. You know, is this school really preparing me or my child for a future, or is this kind of like daycare? And we're just kind of, I remember even at High Point when I was there, I was in the AP classes because I was a nerd. My cousins, you know, some of my cousins were in the general education classes. We would go home. I'm doing homework. I'm like, you're not doing homework? Oh, we don't have homework. Like, what? You don't have homework? Nah, we just don't. You know, so this is not a new thing. But I think in the environment we're living in right now, you got to get people to a place where they can sustain themselves. They don't want to ask the government to take care of that. They want to be able to have that, you know, self-actualization of like, I'm a man, I can take care of my responsibilities. I have a family, I can take care of my family, or I'm a woman, take care of my business, you know, and I don't need someone to take or do for me. And again, we have all these opportunities here. We're not being as intentional and aggressive as we should be.
What would you say to individuals who live in PG County locally, and when it comes to local elections, about getting involved and how much it impacts them, but not just PG County, but locally in general in terms of people and where they're from?
Yeah, you know, because Prince George's County, we're unique in that, like, we have this setup. We're actually unique in the state where we have like a lot of these municipalities. So like City of Hyattsville, Berwyn Heights, College Park, you know, so there's towns, mayors, they got their own police for like Landover Hills. So you have a lot of these like little kingdoms within the county. And so sometimes people identify more with their town or their city, you know, or their village
than the county.
But I especially at a 100,000 foot level, it's just saying like, listen, these offices, the mayor, the police chief, your county executive, have more to do with your day-to-day life than Donald Trump ever will. And I think people are kind of waking up to that. You see like, you know, again, Ferguson was a good example. This small town most people had never heard of. And then you kind of look at it and it's like, oh, okay, well, fundamental problem with that little town was they had a, you know, revenue level of here, but their expenses were here. And so how are you going to make that up? Oh, fines and fees. That's how you're going to make it up. What does that mean? You use the police department, jaywalking ticket, litter citation, garbage citation, code violation. Your yard was
because you had
to make up.
I see.
It was a revenue sort of, we needed to make dollars. That's why everyone's getting tickets. You had something crazy statistic like 75% of the city, of the town of Ferguson, had some warrant or fine or ticket. You know, so like it's taxation by another means, right? And so I think that's one of the challenges you see in the county, where you got to be careful and put the right people in place, because otherwise some may see that as a legitimate. I mean, why are all these speed cameras in certain neighborhoods, right? Where the company may, you know, instead of charging you, here's a flat fee for the speed camera, it's like, I don't want a flat fee. Don't pay me $100 for that speed camera. Pay me $50 and then a percentage of the tickets you get off that camera.
Right.
Because that just keeps going, you know, and there's an incentive to more tickets. I mean, the fact that we have a bail bond industry in this county, right? You talk about a parasite.
That's big.
Oh,
Like you okay, wait. So there's a business that needs people to get locked up to make profit. Right in the county seat in right outside the courthouse. They're like check cashing, man. And Memphis, that's parasite. You know, you talk about, so we have bail bonds here, but in Memphis, you had 20-something% of the population of Memphis no bank account.
Ain't that crazy?
Because you know, low income, and so the bank, the regular traditional bank, it's like you need to have a minimum balance of like this amount.
Right.
I don't have that much. I'm not going to keep that much in the account on a regular basis.
And they charge you for it.
And they charge you if you go under.
Now,
go ahead.
Now we're getting ready to close out. So real quick,
man,
I want you to be able to tell everybody where they can find your stuff, how they can get acquainted with who you are and what you stand for.
Sure, yeah, no, I appreciate the time. I'm sorry to run my mouth.
No problem.
I mean,
That's
this
what
is
you're
happening
for.
all over the country, and I feel like we have a responsibility in the richest black county in America to take care of all of our people, white, brown. You know, we're a very diverse county. So people can visit the website, paulforprincegeorges.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Snapchat, we're on Twitter, Paul for PGC. Just to, you know, if you want to learn more about me, my background, why I'm running for this office, why I believe I'm qualified for this office, and my vision for the county. Because I'm not just running to get my name in the paper, for sure.
Excellent. And of course, you guys can catch Views from the Beard after the show. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
So much for 2020. Coming on. There it is.
Hey.
Got my
there
vote.
it is.
Hey.
And you're my running mate.
All right. Hey.
All right, folks. Thank you so much and have a blessed night.